citizens and the city council in a way that we never had all the time I've been here. She listens, she gets out, she does bike riding and walking, and I guess they've limited you to walking now.
No, I'm riding.
You're still riding. Bike riding and walking town halls. She's open to your comments and your questions. And so, Mayor, please.
Get my stuff here, and since it's Saturday morning, we're just going to do this casual. I'm going to perch up here in my jeans and boots. And I'll tell you, since taking office in June.
If you have any questions, raise your hand, we'll get you a card. Shirley or Robert or Jerry will get you a card. You can write the question down and we'll get you a thank you, sir.
I've had sold a few cards at the 2 years. So.
You have. They're for you, right? We put a lot of miles on these. A lot of miles on the car. This is a big city and it's a great city. It's a wonderful opportunity. I love getting out. You know, I think you've heard me say my philosophy is that you can't do much sitting behind a desk. You really need to get out and engage the citizens. 16th largest city in the nation and growing. It's very hard to engage everybody if you're not out talking to them. And we have to avail ourselves of every technique that we can. And we've included our bike riding. Some of you have ridden with us, I think, and some of you have walked with us, and I'm going to give you a schedule of some upcoming chances in your neighborhood up here to get out and walk with us or ride with us. We had, over the course of about 6 months, we had better than 1,000 people ride bikes with us. And if you crazy enough to put your spandex on and show up public, we'll tell you the funny stuff. They'll reach in their back pocket and whip out stuff. And the walking's the same way. We just started our walking town halls. We've got one coming up in Danny's area, kind of East Fort Worth, and 2 or 3 up here. And really, come out, bring your pets, bring your kids, and just talk to us about what's going on. We're very active in social media. Some of you follow us, I know, follow what's going on. We're about to resurrect digital town halls. I think Danny's going to do one and some of the other council members. And try to get all lines of communication, because I think we have to hear from you. And later on, we'll discuss the bond election, and I brought some handouts, and we really will be needing your input on the bond election. It's your money we're going to be spending, and we need to be able to take care of that with your input, not our input alone. Rusty said, tell you a little bit about what we've done since coming into office. I talked a little bit about the town halls. I'll tell you a little funny. How many of you know where Betty Perot Elementary School is? They have a running club, and they invited me to come up, and the kids get a little charm for so many miles they complete. And they invited me to come up and run with them, like this, 2 or 3 weeks ago? Yeah. 2 or 3 weeks ago, one afternoon, we went out, after they get out of school, they run around the track, and we went out and ran with them. And then all the kids wanted an autograph. And they didn't have pens, but they had Sharpies, and they said, sign my arm. I thought, oh my gosh, their mother and dads are going to kill me. Sign my arm. And then somebody got right and said, sign my forehead. So I said, I don't think I did it. The PE teacher said it will wash off, just sign. So it was hilarious. And then I got a note a few days later from a mother who said, you signed my daughter's arm at the running club and made her day. And afterwards, we went to her grandparents' house, and she would run into her grandparents and went, Nana, Nana, look, Betty White signed my And I thought, I know this job will age you. Age could quite do much, but I don't know, maybe it has.
Can you send me some of your close-up pictures?
You know, since taking office, we've had some great things going on.
I can't
Fort
get
Worth's
no
just a great city. I've had the opportunity to travel to U.S. Conference of Mayors a couple of times, which is about the top 200, 220 cities in the nation. And without exception, we are doing so much better in Fort Worth than most of these cities are. I know we struggle with infrastructure, particularly in your area, and I know we struggle with response times and things, but it is nothing compared to what's going on in many of these cities. They would all kill to have the climate, the job climate we have here, the citizens we have here, just the overall environment. And it always always makes me very proud to be able to be there representing you. We've worked hard on the budget the last 2 years. We've moved 2.5 pennies, Danny, so far, right? From our operating over to our debt side to free up some money. We had no bonding capacity, so we could not issue any new bonds. And we committed to move 5 cents minimum over to give us some bonding capacity so we can finish these streets. Now, I know you think we've got orange cones everywhere, and we do. And part of it is Doug Worsig's job. When I took office, I think Doug, you've been there 2 or 3 months when I came in, and part of the issue was the city had money from the 04, 07, and 08 bond elections that had not been spent. Nearly $300 million of your bond funds that were approved had not been spent, largely for transportation projects. And we put all that either in construction, or design, or build. How much is left to go on the street, Doug?
It's not much, it's been about $123 million.
Yeah, we don't have much left. It is all earmarked, so we're getting there. To put that in context for you, in the last 35 years in the North Texas region, $15 billion has been spent on infrastructure. In the next 5 years, $15.5 billion will be spent on infrastructure. So that tells you why you're seeing so much, but that corresponds with the rapid growth that we've had. We've made a concerted effort to work on the budget. When we first took office, and Danny's seen this and fought it for years, the city's revenues were pretty flat, but the expenses were up here. Now, you can't operate your business or your household with a budget that looks like that, can you? With a revenue line here and an expense line up here. And council made a commitment to lower those expenses to hopefully push up revenue. And we're doing really well with revenue. Keep spending. Sales tax is at a record high. We appreciate what you're doing, and we appreciate what the tourists are doing. Property values are coming back up, but we are lowering those expenses. It's not an easy call, but we have to be more efficient, more technological. Just spend your dollar better. We're looking at every department. We'll start with the water department very shortly on an efficiency review, potentially an outside contract for delivery of some of their services. Rumor on the street is that we're selling our water department. No, we are not selling our water department. We are trying to make it more efficient. We are also looking at the city manager's operation and council and mayor's office to see that we are doing the best we can with what we have. What happens with most governments, and certainly you know all about it in Washington and in Austin, but it's true to a smaller scale on the local level. When dollars are real flush, it tends to get very easy to layer in additional people and additional things. And then when dollars get tighter, you have to go back and tighten it up. Well, this time, we're not just going to go back and tighten it up. We're going to keep it down to an efficient management. You don't need a lot bigger government. You need a government that's efficient. You need a city services. I always tell people, and they get tired of hearing it, we don't build widgets at the city of Fort Worth. We don't sell widgets. We deliver service. And we have to deliver the most efficient service that we can. The good news for us is Fort Worth is the first large city to officially exit the recession. We were the last in and the first out, according to several national statistics. We were, now many of you were touched by it, and all of us were, but not as deeply as many cities. I visited with Dave Benning, who's the mayor of Detroit, and Dave told me that a quarter of the population of Detroit has moved in the last 5 years, has left Detroit. They have suburbs on the outer loop of Detroit that are $300,000 homes and up that are abandoned, and they are bulldozing them. They simply have to move their population back into the inner city to be able to deliver services. We never saw that impact here, and we're delighted about that. The other bright spot is the announcement on Thursday that American is merging, which we've been hearing is coming, and we're very pleased about that. I talked with both Doug Parker and Tom Hartman on Thursday and Friday, and they're very excited about staying in Fort Worth. And Tom Hartman, who's the American CEO, will now be chairman of the board with a golden parachute, I add. You know, he's very committed to Fort Worth, and Doug Parker is very committed to Fort Worth, but his quote in the paper was he was delighted to be staying in the Dallas region, and I made no It's not staying in the Dallas region, it's headquarters in Fort Worth. So they're excited and we're excited. What that means for our Alliance spaceship up here, we don't know yet. American still has the option on it. We have 2 or 3 companies who are still looking at that. They will ultimately close that base and recontract it out with some other company. They did tell me they expect to be bringing some significant jobs from Phoenix. Some of their employees at their Phoenix operation will be coming with them. Some of them will opt not to move from Phoenix. They will still maintain a big presence, a corporate presence in Phoenix, but there'll be some new ones here. So we're excited about that, and I think that bodes well for us. Crime is down overall for the last 3 quarters, 8%. That's really good, and that's a lot of that's due to these men and women back here. They work hard and they do a great job for you. And the other thing is, we've got a citizenry who gets out and knows their neighbors. And engaged citizens, and I know y'all will agree with that, engaged citizens lead to safe practice. Because you know what's going on. We were coming home last night from a party and stopped and saw 2 of our officers stopped talking to one of our neighbors, and I thought, oh my gosh, what's going on? And his buddy said, well, I was just out walking, and there's a car, strange car that's been parked here for 3 hours, and there's a guy who keeps coming and going and coming and going. It turned out it was nothing, but I thought that's great that he's watching out for the neighborhood and has a sense to call or go to run the car and see what's going on. So get out and get involved if you're not already, but know your neighbors and help, and that really helps drive crime down. Job growth continues, and that's good for us. We've got a couple of new companies that are actively looking at Fort Worth. We've had the pleasure of being in on the interviews with several big companies lately, and the things they ask you when they come in and talk to you, they say, tell us about your workforce. Tell us about the education of your community, and tell us about the health of your community. And many of you know that I'm kind of a fitness freak. I'll never be thin because I like food too well and a glass of good wine. But I do believe in being fit, and part of that goes in with the engaged community and a good workforce. The healthier your community is, the healthier their children are, the more appealing we are to businesses who want to come here. Because if your kids are sick all the time, chronic illness, diabetes, whatever, you can't be at work. Somebody needs to be home with their children. If you're sick, you're losing productivity. And businesses are really, really beginning to pick up on that. Particularly in light of the changes in healthcare that are coming. They're seeing an awful lot that can be done. The wellness challenge, it just helps. It makes a stronger, more vibrant community. We still have challenges to face. Our budget for 2014, as Danny knows, promises to be difficult. We are committed to keeping that, getting that expense line down where they meet each other. Once we get those expenses cut and get things down, then we will know what our true costs are. Then we can go back to raises for our employees. We can go back to additional things that really add the nicety and the extra quality. But until we manage that, we simply can't do it. Until we get them to where we can keep them together. I'm optimistic that this may be our last really, really tough year as we get down to a little leaner organization. We have an annexation workshop next year, which is a word that sends fear into everybody. I have a major disagreement. I don't know exactly where Danny stands on it, but we're pretty close. I don't believe we annex just because we can. I think that annexations need to be largely voluntarily or driven by a significant need for delivering services to you that you don't have, be it police or be it fire. But just the fact to annex somebody because it's an enclave that we've circled and they're happy where they are, I'm not sure we should be doing that. And that's been our policy. So we will be looking at, next week we have a 2 or 3 hour workshop on annexation and on our policy. What is it? You know, we can barely say grace over what we have already. We have a hard time delivering who we have. And to annex areas that are going to cost us significant amounts of money when the citizens don't want to be there, just fundamentally doesn't make sense to me. City staff are going to have to sell me on that idea with a much better mode than I have now. Police fire response time. When we come to Q&A, I'd love to hear your questions on that. We're working hard. Is the new sector open up here? Do they want to address that now?
Yeah, we don't have a new sector, but we have a new program of how we're going to put those resources in one loop, and that will be happening probably in the next week or so. We'll have
This is at Dual Bridges.
Deputy Bridget, new Deputy Chief of Patrol. Probably within the next week or so, we'll have officers that will specifically be stationed in one loop so we can decrease response time.
That's critical that we get that response time shorter for you. And I know the Chief and Chief Halstead are working on that. And I didn't know whether it was going to be a new sector or just what it was. But it will help you, and we'll be anxious to get your feedback on that when they get that deployed. Let's talk a little bit about the construction project specifically. The I-35 interchange and I-35 from downtown up to the 287 interchange. Construction will start on that July this year, with ramped up construction in the fall. Danny serves on RTC, and he probably knows the regional transportation, the dates on that. It will have some free lanes and some managed lanes, and I will tell you, you will really hate us when that starts. You're just gonna have to bear with us that it's gonna be much, much better as we get it finished.
We need it now.
It gets too much worse, can't it?
Well, they always say it gets worse before it gets better.
Absolutely, the calm before the storm, right? But it should be finished, the estimate is 2018. And that's gonna be very nice for us when it's finished. The north of 287 split from I-35 to the 287, that's one we talked about. From 287 to 114 is not funded yet. The design has started on that, but the funding is not there yet. Part of the reason that we're struggling on all of these is the $15 billion that's out there in transportation projects, only about 20%. Yeah, only about $3.5 billion is federal or state dollars. The rest is private or local dollars. That's a model that's pretty much backwards from historically how we deliver projects. Historically, the states and the Fed have had the bulk of the dollars in these interstates. So it's a creative challenge for us to get there. We were in Austin week before last, our entire Tarrant County delegation visiting with them. And one of the things that we focused on was transportation and water. And they really do have to take a hard look at how the state funds transportation for us to continue the job climate and the growth that we have here. Street improvements, Doug is here to talk to you a little bit about street improvements. You did open Golden Triangle yesterday, the day before, wasn't it? Yeah, which is great. We've seen a lot of movement up here just in the last 18 months. It's only going to get better. We are committed to making that happen. We had a major discussion on impact fees recently. Rusty and I didn't necessarily agree on it. The recommendation of staff was that we up the impact fees to developers from $2,000 to $3,800. The developers felt like that was not going to give them a fair advantage because for every $1,000 you add on a home, believe it or not, it's nationwide, it tends to drop the number of buyers by 20 for every 1,000. And they're seeing escalating costs in the building materials, escalating costs in their labor pool, their insurance, and everything. We want those builders to continue to build in Fort Worth. We do not want them going just out to the other suburbs and building. We need them here. So we kind of split the difference, split the baby, I guess, and we agreed to a $3,000 to move them from $2,000 to $3,000 on their impact fee, with an agreement that we would look at it again in 2 years. And I think that's only fair. I think Danny made the motion to restudy it in 2 years, and the builders are okay with that. And so we will continue to see new starts, new housing starts, and new building going on. The bond election, May of 14 is tentatively what we're looking at on the bond election. We have about $300 million in bonding capacity. We will hold some of that back in reserve because projects tend to run over a little bit. So probably the bond election maximum amount is 267, somewhere in that 265 to 267 million. election. The staff went out and talked to specific groups that have always been interested in it. Development Advisory Group, the Board of Realtors, the Great Real Estate Council, some of the Rotaries, and then staff sat down with their own internal people and came up with a wish list. It's about $1.7 billion on the wish list. Obviously, 267 million, 1.7 billion are nowhere near each other. But a lot of that that's on there is needed things, and a lot of it is future need. That's long-term need for the next 5 to 10 years. It's also included in that. So we will be asking you to come back and tell us the bond package that's been presented is about 70 or 72% transportation, roughly 28 to 30% libraries, parks. Council had a workshop on it, and then this past Tuesday we had a major dialogue about whether that was enough money for parks or not. What's the appropriate level for libraries, for parks, for sidewalks, for your needs as opposed to just street needs? And I think you're going to see the parks and the library piece go up, the community centers, swimming pools and things. So I brought some handouts. If you take one of these, it will also be on the city website, and I'd love for you to have them. There's probably not enough for everybody. That is strictly a wish list that shows all $1.7 billion of proposed projects. And you can go to the website and see what was really suggested to council for the 267 million. But we will be coming out, traffic, public works, police, all the departments will put together what we call a bond road show, for lack of a better term. And they'll be coming to your neighborhood, they'll be talking to you. I hope that y'all will invite them out, probably starting in the summer, and give us your input. It's crucial that we really know what it is you want in this bond election. Because it's my tax dollars, but it's your tax dollars too. And we need to know what you see on that. City has to be able to deliver on these projects. One reason we haven't had a bond election sooner is because we weren't delivering on what we had. We will not hold an election that's any bigger than our capacity to deliver. If we decide we can't deliver more than $200 million in projects, that's where we'll set the limit. But we need to know what it is that you're looking at. We'll go back and talk about this bond election, okay, your questions. That's kind of where we stand. It's been an exciting couple of years. There's some opportunities coming up for you. We started coffee with the council and mayor. We call it Java Fort Worth. Co-America has underwritten it for us. The next one is at Life Point Methodist Church up this way, and it's March the 21st at 6 p.m. So come and join us. Come in and have a cup of coffee with us in the evening. The next Viking Town Hall will be at the Northside Library, June the 5th at 6 p.m. Put your bikes out. There's another one at the North Park Y. Last year we had 100 people came to your Y here. Brought their kids, we rode 4 or 5 miles and had a great little visit. Dan and the other will underwrite that, and Neuro, the energy drink, will be there with us. And it'll just be an opportunity to get out and enjoy your neighbors, come and talk to your council people. Even if they don't ride, they'll come. And then the next walking town hall is August, well, it says August the 10th, but I don't think that's right. I think it's earlier than that. At Alexandria Meadows Park. So we will be coming back out. If you've got activities, let us know. We'd love to come out and visit with you. Get engaged and find out just what it is that you need. Danny, anything specific you want to tell them?
Well, I think you remember the old Western Company ads, if you don't have an oil well, get one.
Get one.
Our one is, if you don't have an orange barrel, get one. We want to bring it to your neighborhood. I think the town has done in the last few years a really good job of pushing the issue in this far north area in terms of construction. You've seen the results of a lot of work going on up here, and we're going to continue that push. If you look at the recommended list of infrastructure projects that the city staff has given us, it's pretty heavily weighted to the north end of town. It will help to finish filling in some of these patches where we don't have stuff done. And between that and things that are already on the books, we'll end up with Riverside Drive and Beach Street and stuff between Shiver and Heritage Trace. All those holes filled in will finish up the projects that need to continue to make us better. We'll get important for this in the town, so it is going to continue to be a big priority.
It is.
To fix those things. But so is bringing some of these other stuff here. The mayor mentioned the library, the municipal center, and parks and things. There is also, you will see in that list, there is money earmarked, at least at this point, as discussion items to bring some of those amenities up to this part of the city. Continuing to try to bring you, more inclusivity into the city and more services out this direction. So it's a big priority.
It's big priority.
For
We
all
have
of us.
on there the North Service Center, which will allow us to not have to drive our trucks and vehicles back and forth. We have a base here. We also have on there, for lack of a better term, a sub-city hall for your region. And we are actively talking with it. I'm a big proponent of public-public and public-private partnerships. And we are engaged in conversation with Commissioner Bickus and Commissioner Johnson as to where we might locate a joint center with them that would potentially be a county's sub-courthouse and a sub-city hall. And we're looking at what might be the best facility and how can we fund it. So to get services here, it's a long way to City Hall for you. It's gonna be even longer with 35 store home.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to get up here. We need to add, we're also looking at our city website so that we can add more and more services online that you won't have to come physically. And that'll help you.
An iPhone or iPad app that will help tie you in your
That's right.
water bills.
An iPhone and iPad app, Streets looking at one that you can get for potholes, that you can just take a photograph and send it, double count, personal repair. But we're trying to make it better and easier for you to use, and we're trying to leverage your dollar. This list that's being passed around on the bond election, that is not a scrub list. There are a lot of projects on there that you're gonna see that look sky high, and they are. That's a buy the land, design it, build, start from scratch. Some of those projects we won't do that on. Some of those projects we hopefully can put on existing areas that the city has, or reuse buildings that we have, or we can leverage with one of our other, maybe with the school districts. Maybe we can leverage some of these aquatic centers with the school districts. Maybe we can leverage some of our community facilities with TCC or the county, with sub hall. So some of that, a lot of those numbers will change, which will allow us to roll dollars from one area into the other. With that, I would be glad to entertain any questions you might have.
Before we start with the questions, Chief, would you like to introduce the folks from your department that are here tonight?
Again, I'm Deputy Chief at Dual Prison, and joining me are Lieutenant Aldridge and Sergeant Dean.
And this update, officer update from code compliance, and if you have any questions on animal control or anything like that, she's here to answer questions and have some handouts for you if you like.
And you'll note on the bond election, there's a proposed north section animal shelter.
And we want to thank Premier Community Management Company for the refreshments and coming out and helping us in our everyday. Most of your communities are managed by Premier. They do a fantastic job in not only supporting your communities, but in supporting the peppers of the world.
Sandy, anything you want to say for Dennis? Dennis can't be with us.
I think the only thing I really have on the list to mention was on the March 21st, the job of Fort Worth at 5.99 and 287. And if you have any issues at all, feel free to give our office a call or give Councilman Scar's office, Councilman Espino's office a call and have them help.
You've got the unique position now having essentially 3 council members.
Yes.
That's right. Because if you count me, you've got 4.
So we're getting there.
You're making progress.
Gary?
Ready for questions?
Yeah, sure.
You know, we got one, I'm glad that code compliance was introduced last. We have one member who wrote an epistle here. It's actually 3 volumes, but condensed it in 1 page. This area recruited 10,000 volunteers to host the North Texas Super Bowl. The city continues to drop positions in volunteers plucked, I guess that means scratched out of the ground, over 10,000 signs in the past 2 years. But more volunteers are needed in code compliance, animal control, and other city functions. Why not create a full-time volunteer coordinator position to solicit volunteer opportunities from city staff, update city website, and recruit volunteers to city events? Most important, see, you know what, this is so long I'm getting dry. Most important would be to train city staff on how to treat and retrain volunteers. A ball cap and a thank you email go a long way. So that's an issue about code compliance and also addressing the city about a volunteer position that will actually help coordinate those issues and actually solicit volunteers from the community.
Mayors, two of the largest cities, both Philadelphia and Chicago, have volunteer coordinators. Chicago has several thousand volunteers. They can't be as good as volunteers for and Philadelphia's is very fledgling, but I brought that back and Mary Ann Means is looking at that. She's going to be talking to the council aides about it. There are an awful lot of people who really would like to volunteer. And that's kind of leveraging that public-private partnerships. It's leverage our citizens to volunteer and help us. So that's a great suggestion that we will be exploring. Whoever wrote it, you need to stand up and make a chair.
The guy that built the book.
I'm already fully subscribed.
And I think Bill was, what, volunteer of the
Good neighbor of the year last
Good
year.
neighbor of the year last
Awesome.
year.
Congratulations. And one of the programs that's been very successful for us in so many of our neighborhoods. Which we want to now check, which you'll see it's coming out.
And we do have a code ranger program where you go and get training on what is a code violation, what is not. There is an app that's available for your, I think it's available, I know it is on iPhone, I think it's also for Android, where you can actually take a picture of something and send that in so that it goes directly to our code department and they address those things. Anything you want to talk about code ranger? No, I was looking behind you, look at our code officer. Good.
Not specifically code rangers. I know it's a great program. I work with an animal. I know we have a volunteer coordinator that works with people that want to work with animals at the shelter. Because we have our PetSmart Adoption Center up here, and we're called Heritage Trace, and so people are welcome to volunteer there and love on those pets and dogs and cats and everything like that.
And we have a group of volunteers raising money for the medical isolation program also. So we just need to expand that part of the bill.
And we do have code rangers in the neighborhoods that help to enforce the trash can rules and junk at the curb and that sort of thing. And we have, at this point, 2 people, so it's still pulling signs weekly.
Excellent.
All over the city.
I'll show my age, but I would think that nosy neighbors like Mrs. Craddock, she used to be on the web. That's probably a worthwhile thing because they can help you get a little further. Yeah, that's it. I've been watching, I didn't see it, Rich, I've been watching on Betty White would have seen it.
Mayor, I have the next question. It's from Lee Kirby, and it says, when will the North Fort Worth get more police patrol and a police station in our area? You kind of addressed it, but can you speak
Chief?
a little more pointedly towards this?
I can probably speak immediately, which will get then short term, then long term. Immediately, and all the thank goes to Lieutenant Aldridge. He heard the citizens' concerns about there being a lack of police presence and delayed response times north of the loop. So he came up with a plan to address that by assigning a certain number of officers who were restricted to work north of the loop to increase service and reduce response times. That's immediate addressing that. But short term, we're looking at efficiency throughout the city. Do we have the proper number of officers deployed in each division? There might be a need to move officers from other sides of town to North Division to satisfy the needs up here. Then long term, I think it speaks to how we recruit, train, and retain. Because we need 200 officers today in order to satisfy the needs north of in North Fort Worth. North Division is the largest division in the city. but it has an equal number of officers that the other divisions have. So in order for us to create another division, we need 200 officers today. In order to do that, we've revamped the way we recruit. And the mayor and council have been extremely supportive. We moved about $90,000 into our recruiting budget last year to allow us to travel to different cities and to create relationships over a period of time so that people are invested in this city. We also are changing the way we test. In the past, we used to test annually. When people would test, they wouldn't know when they were going to start the academy. It could be 8 months, it could be 18 months. They get frustrated, they get an offer from someone else, and they be gone. Well, now we're going to start testing on a monthly basis, probably within the next 6 months. And with that, we can get the most qualified people, and we can test more frequently and start academies more often. And that ties into our new public police fire and training center. We don't have the capacity to put the number of recruits through the classes that we need to in order to grow our department. That new police fire and training center will allow us to do that. And the last thing is I had a conversation with our training staff. Years down the line, is probably won't see 200, 300, but we need that now. So I've talked to training and said, if we provide you with a greater number of instructors, because they're short-staffed, as we all are throughout the city, can you potentially have 2 classes running at one time? Will you have a class during the day and a class in the evening? That way, maybe we can double the number of people that we put out on the street. So that's the immediate concern, short-term and long-term. But we're looking at creative ways to resolve the problem, and I have to applaud Lieutenant Aldridge and the staff in North Division who saw that immediate concern and took action to address it.
And some of that is not just new officers, but it's filling the spots we have open.
Correct.
How many open right now?
Correct. We have about 40 vacancies, and again, we have to fill those vacancies and before we can actually add more officers to our allotted positions.
And if you'll look, I think it's hard to read these numbers in this blue piece, but I think it's number 28 on the proposed bond. There's a North Division Patrol and Command Center that's proposed on there for $18 million, which would serve your future, beginning with the North Service Center. Whether that's part of it or not, we'll have to hear input from y'all and from our officers up here.
Yes, sir.
At a recent meeting with one of the assistant chiefs, they characterized this as a power shift that is being deployed in this area. Can you elaborate on what that means exactly?
A power shift is a shift that comes into overlap 2 separate shifts. For example, we have a day shift that runs from 05:30 to 15:30, 5:30 in the morning until 3:30 p.m. And then we've got another shift that comes in from 3:30 p.m. to, I believe it's 1 in the morning. So that power shift will come in at 10:00, I believe, at noon and work till 10 p.m. I was going to say 20:00, 10 p.m. So it overlaps, because the challenge that we've seen is that when officers are getting off, and then when officers come on, there are calls that stack up, because someone's going home, so they can't go answer calls when they get ready to go home. And the people that are coming on can't answer calls till they go through roll call, and the sergeant explains to them what their responsibilities are for that day. So during that time frame, calls build up, so citizens aren't getting that response. So that power shift will alleviate that stacking up of calls, so to speak.
Is that just in the North region?
That's just in North Division. However, on a broader scale, I've asked fiscal or financing personnel to look at a power shift throughout the city, because I've been doing the roll call since, it's been about 2 weeks since I've been in patrol, and one of the things that I'm hearing consistently throughout patrol is, since we went away from a power shift about 1.5 years ago, there's that stacking up of calls between day shift and evening shift. So this is going to be a test or a pilot program, and then we're going to see if it can be implemented to create greater efficiency throughout the city.
It seems to me,
We've got one more question.
it seems to me that a lot of the officers' attention in this area is spent on wrecks or, some kind on that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I live in other cities where they have not officers, but somebody somehow subcontracted or something, and their main job is to work on the wrecks while the police do their work protecting the citizens. Is that possible?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's actually what we're doing. Traffic has recently increased their mission. In the past, traffic was responsible for reducing speeds on roadways, enforcing traffic violations in neighborhoods. Well, their mission has expanded to now working accidents. So they're now starting, and I believe I saw a figure a couple weeks ago where they worked about 25% of the accidents in the city. that number is going to continue to grow as their mission gets reinforced. Additionally, we're looking at hiring civilians or using TCTs to pull vehicles out of the traffic flow. Oh, traffic control technicians, I'm sorry. Traffic control technicians are civilian personnel who strictly work to increase traffic flow in certain areas of the city. Well, we're going to be using traffic control technicians or some other form of civilian personnel to pull vehicles out of the roadway so we can increase traffic flow. So I'm glad you brought that up, and that is a growing mission in traffic.
Switch questions here a minute. I think this is really for Doug Worthy, so I have two questions here.
You can't hide back there, man.
Yeah, I know. I had to talk him to put a name tag on here. What are the plans for Keller Haslett Road between Alta Vista and 377? With two new communities going in, this road will be worse. A turn lane would be great.
Keller Haslett and.
Keller Haslett runs east-west
Yeah.
between 377 and Alta Vista Beach.
Okay, I keep getting Keller Hicks and Keller Haslett. Yeah, gotta keep going. We have some dollars in the next CIP that we're looking at in regards to a pool of money for intersection improvements. And that's where we would pool money.
Not also, that was CIP. We tend to speak in three or four letter terms.
Capital improvement program. And on the list that you have here, that got distributed, there might be a category, you'll see in there is a category that says intersection improvements. And one of the things is you can't define them that far out in advance because sometimes the dynamics of the growth change. But that's the pool of money we would come to try to look at and see how we put turn lanes, right turn lanes, left turn lanes, depending on what the intersection you need.
Okay, my next question is.
I was going to ask you that topic actually. Is Park Vista can be extended from Alliance Gateway further down? Because it kind of stops at Keller Haslett, and there's a continuation of the road that extends. Is that going to continue down into the Inland Springs community and then further? That would probably lead some traffic.
It's a real secret project. You know today.
This is open government,
You know, today there's a piece of Park Vista built from like Timberland north as part of that subdivision. And then it stops there along with Timberland. And then you go down to, what is it? West Kaler, and then that piece is built out to Keller Hicks, and then it stops again. Well, you know, there's a new development thinking of coming in on Golden Triangle. And as part of that development, we're working with them to create the extension of Park Vista from where it dead ends at Keller Hicks, all the way down to Golden Triangle, and then to tie it into Ray White, where, you know, Ray White goes north and then it goes Ray White west, okay? And we would then have a continuous Park Vista all the way from Kaler down to Western Center, okay? At that point. And then as part of the Timberland improvement and the residential development that is planned to occur there, and one of the projects that's on the potential next MOD program, Timberland, would be to create that last missing link of Park Vista that would connect it into Kaler, shall we say, with Timberland, and then you can get to 377 off of Timberland as you go. As Danny said, that's creating the missing links to create the circulation. I don't need to make every road 4 lanes or 6 lanes. It's kind of create these links that